Guys, oh my god. I just got back from seeing Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, and I'm speechless. I can't remember the last time I left a movie theater feeling that excited and just happy and relieved and just amazing. I feel amazing. I feel so alive. I feel like I just had 10 cups of espresso. I'm just like, just energized. I honestly didn't know what to expect from this movie. I knew it was a Star Wars movie and that was awesome and I love Star Wars and how could they possibly disappoint me? But then there's the whole idea that this story is a story that we already know. We know how it ends. We know exactly what happens because this is the story of what happens right before episode 4. So obviously we know what happens. We've heard little bits and pieces about it. We know that they get the Death Star plans. We know that that's how they destroy the Death Star. We know all of that. So going into this, I was like, how are they going to make this movie interesting when I already know the plot? So the question remains, did they make an awesome movie even though we knew what the plot was going to be? The answer is hell yes. No joke, not messing around. This movie is better than The Force Awakens. And I don't mean like, they were pretty close, but I think this one might have been better. No, this was just blew all of my expectations out of the water. Amazing. I'm so excited about this movie. I'm seeing it again tomorrow because why not? Seriously amazing. It's very reminiscent of A New Hope. It has a lot of old school feels to it along with a lot of new stuff. And the reason that I say it's better than The Force Awakens is because while I loved The Force Awakens, I think it was amazing. It was a super fun experience, very nostalgic. It relied a lot on the nostalgia. If you're not a Star Wars fan and you watch The Force Awakens, yeah, it's a great movie, but it's not nearly as good as it would be if you've seen all of the other Star Wars movies. But this movie, it could stand on its own and still be amazing. And while it did have a lot of nostalgia and it did have a lot of cool Easter eggs, it didn't really rely on those. They didn't feel forced. They fit into the story very well. They were interwoven very well. And what I love most about this movie is that it's very apparent that it's taking place at the same time as a lot of other very important things that we later learn about in A New Hope and the later movies. And sometimes we see like a little bit of those scenes in the background where we'll see something happening and we're like, oh, I know what's happening there. That's gonna be important later. And it was just really cool to see how that worked and how there were so many little pieces going into this movie and so many little moving parts and how they all connect and how they are important in later movies and important in this movie, and oh my god, it was so good. I also loved the characters. They were all so interesting and I loved how they all came together and they didn't really trust each other. They didn't really know anything about each other. They all came from very different backgrounds and they were all kind of scarred. And it really reminded me of A New Hope because it was a group of people coming together who didn't really know each other, but they just had to work together and fight for a greater good. And seeing all these awesome characters coming together and forming these relationships and just being awesome and killing stormtroopers was so cool. Especially the blind guy. The blind guy is my favorite. He rocks. Jyn Erso is a super awesome protagonist. I love her. She's strong. She doesn't give a fuck. She's just like, this is what I'm here to do. I'm gonna fuck shit up. It's gonna be great. I was worried that she'd be very similar to Rey and that they were gonna kind of overlap, but there are a lot of differences between the two. Jyn is a lot more like shoot first, ask questions later, and she's just tough. Like she'll just walk up to you and like push you off a cliff and be like, whatever. I'm all about that. Sign me up. The music was also amazing, as any Star Wars movie is going to be. However, it was very different from any Star Wars movie because this isn't technically an episode. This is a separate Star Wars story. The music is a little bit different. We don't get the familiar tunes that we're used to hearing in a Star Wars movie, except a little bit. We get a little bit. Like when Darth Vader shows up. Ho, ho, ho. Not gonna spoil anything, but you're gonna get chills everywhere. Probably my favorite scene in the whole movie is the scene with Darth Vader near the end, and it's just the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And it just reminded me of how much I fucking love Darth Vader and how just evil he is. He's so evil. I feel like as this movie progressed, it just got more and more awesome. Like it started and I was like, this is pretty good. And then it continued and I was like, this is awesome. And then it was just like, this is awesome. This is awesome. This is so awesome. It's so good. It's so good. It's like almost as good as the original trilogy, if not like right there. It really did remind me of A New Hope though, very much in the vein of A New Hope, very much leading into A New Hope. They're very closely connected and it is so cool. The writing on this is amazing. The pacing was perfect. Everything was just perfectly done. I have no complaints. There's really nothing. I have nothing bad to say. That is rare for me. You know me? I hate everything. And maybe part of that has to do with the fact that I'm a biased, just obsessive Star Wars fan, but honestly, as just someone who likes movies, this is a great movie. If you don't even like Star Wars, you still might like this movie because it is fantastic. Beautifully executed, beautifully shot, everything is amazing. I can't get over this. Go see Rogue One. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. I want to talk about this. This is all I want to talk about. There are so many movies coming out this weekend. This is like the weekend of hell for a movie reviewer. Like, there are a ton of movies coming out this weekend, and I am like so stressed out that I have to do all of these movie reviews, but at this point I'm like, doesn't even matter. You're gonna go see a movie this weekend? Go see Star Wars. Why would you see anything else? Why would you go to the movie theater this weekend and not see Star Wars? Are you drunk? I mean, I am gonna review those other movies, but like, they're not that important. They're not as good as Star Wars. I haven't seen them yet, but they're probably not as good as Star Wars. Okay, thank you so much for watching this review and watching me just gush about how amazing this is. If you're interested in seeing my spoiler review, I will be posting that tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. Hit me up on Twitter if you want to talk more about Star Wars, because I'm all about that. I just want to talk about everything, especially spoilers. There's so many things that I want to talk about. So be sure to subscribe if you like this video. Be sure to like and comment and share it as well. And until next time, I'm Steph Koza, and this is Rated N.